my friends here at Advanced ArdentSpeakers. Welcome to our special speaker session once again. And I'm Albert. I'll be serving as your Toastmaster of the day today. Now, before we start today's session, I want to get all of you to give a very special welcome to our speaker today. Now, I know that you might be muted. You do not need to unmute yourself, but we are all Toastmasters, right? So show our non-verbal communication. Let's show our friendliness to Beaton, distinguished Toastmaster. Everybody, can you just clap, do anything, use the reaction button, grab her attention, all right? That's it. Amazing. Welcome, Beaton, to our club special speaker session, and we're happy to have you here. Now, the topic of evaluation, something that is very close to our experience as a Toastmaster. So I'm personally very excited with the topic today, and I'm sure all of you are as well. So allow me to introduce our speaker today in full honor. Distinguished Toastmaster Beaton joined Toastmasters 18 years ago in 2004. Now, the reason why she joined was pretty unique. Her husband of many years left her suddenly, and she had to make a new life. So Toastmasters basically helped her to rebuild her life. I find this very inspiring. And also, she had a lot of opportunities to grow, and that's why she stayed in Toastmasters all these years. She did have other hobbies outside Toastmasters. She prefers gardening, her grandkids, and learning new things, all very interesting hobbies there. And her motto in life is, never stop learning, never stop giving. So with that in mind, let's all of us once again welcome our distinguished Toastmaster Beaton, and I hereby hand over the stage to her to begin her session. Thank you, and over to you, distinguished Toastmaster Beaton.
Thank you very much. Thank you for I saw all the virtual hands go up as well. And thank you for all the circle claps and everything that you gave me. Gosh, what a welcoming club. I have felt so welcome from the time I came on screen. You're doing an amazing job. Evaluation is my passion. It's something that I've poured a lot of time into. And I hope today to give you some tips from the very beginners who may be a little bit timid. I want to encourage them to have a go, right up to people who would like to compete and want to get a few little tips that I've gathered over 18 years of competing. My presentation is on PowerPoint, and there is a lot of information there's a fair bit of information today, plus there's a lot more that you're going to get if you'd like to have a PDF of the two presentations. The first one is general, the second is competition-based. We'll be able to organise that for you, I think. Patricia, can we not? We can organise to send that to you. I just ask that you use it for personal use only, and you'll find in there a wealth of information which you can work your way through at your own pace to help you become better evaluators. But I'm going to share my screen now, and I hope that you enjoy what you're going to see. I believe there will be question time later, so I'm also available in the chat. So let me just share my screen. And, oh, someone else is sharing, it says. It says that someone else is sharing. Louisa is sharing computer sound. I might need to have that turned off. Thank you. There we go. Thank you so much. Just want to check. I can see you, Patricia. Can you give me a thumbs up that you can see that fine? Fantastic. And there's nothing obscuring that, is there? You can see it all? Yep. Okay. Thank you so much. Gosh, I don't know what's happening here, but I'll get back to the beginning, I hope. I'm just going to stop that. My apologies. It didn't start in the right place, but let's try it again. Just give me 1 sec. I'm so very sorry about this. I'm just going to get this back in the right place. There we go. Gosh, that wasn't a good start. My apologies. All right, we're right now. You can see that, Patricia? Okay, thank you. There we go. So how do you grow your evaluation skills? I've been doing this for 18 years, but I'm still always looking for that little edge, a way to become a stronger evaluator. I wonder what is your mindset when you're asked to evaluate? Do you embrace it and love it, or are you trembling at the knees? Do you want to just run away? Or maybe you sit there and go, no, I have to evaluate Patricia. Yeah. Oh, come on. I can't evaluate her. She's just too good. I'm not as good as her. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt that you can't really evaluate as well as others? Have you put pressure on yourself rather than enjoying the moment? I want to help you to see evaluations as an amazing gift that you give people. When you evaluate well, you could be giving someone their next work promotion, maybe the confidence to do something new. And in my case, especially when I came to Toastmasters, I had no idea how many things that I could do. You could be giving someone the gift of confidence to explore and find out who they really are. You've actually been evaluating your entire life. You know, when you're a baby and you got food that you didn't like, you gave a definite opinion on that. I'm sure you've all been to the movies or been on the lounge watching Netflix. Have you not asked each other what you thought of the movie? You don't say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a movie director, I can't comment. You simply say what you liked. I liked the plot. I liked the actors. Then you might have a suggestion. I'm not sure I like the music in it, but I did like it overall. If you've been giving comments on anything in life, you've already been evaluating. Toastmasters just tells you how to do that a little deeper and in a good way that people will accept. Your opinion counts. Right now, every single one of you watching me, I value what you have to say. I don't care if you've been doing it for 5 minutes or 5 years or more. Your opinion counts. If you are listening to a speaker and you're evaluating, you count. You are an audience member. You have value. Don't worry if other people know more. Just because they've been doing it longer, that's okay. Let them inspire you. And remember, you are a work in progress. After 18 years, I'm still a work in progress. So never worry what you know or don't know. Embrace the opportunity and just speak from the heart to the people you're evaluating. One of the greatest tips I learned, and believe it or not, I learned this last year. One of the best things I can say to you today, this will make an instant difference to your evaluating, is be curious. So if you're engaging with someone, just sit and be curious. Why? What is it I like about this speaker? Oh, they've got energy. I like their sense of humor. I like the content. And similarly, let's be honest, sometimes we disengage. Sometimes we find ourselves thinking, what's for dinner tonight? And when that happens, don't beat yourself up and say, I should have been listening better. Ask yourself, what was happening when I started to lose interest? Why aren't I really excited about this speech? Were there too many points? Was the person looking not very interested in their topic? If you become curious, it will help you enormously as an evaluator. My golden rule number one, and this is how I was taught on the very first night I ever went to Toastmasters, and it's held me in very good stead, and it's still what I do in competitions. My golden rule number one, when you look at a speaker, ask yourself, if they were to get up again and do the speech, what 2 things would make the biggest difference? You could have 4 or 5 written down, but you can't give them 4 or 5 suggestions. What 2 things would make the biggest difference for them to connect with their audience? And the number 2 rule is just focus on giving the best evaluation that you can, the most helpful feedback. Don't put pressure on yourself. Just work from within yourself and try your hardest to give the most helpful feedback you can give. And that's enough. I'll talk to you more about how you can grow your skills as we go along. Did you know that you can practice at your club meetings? Now, I don't mean putting your hand up for a role, but you can always evaluate all the speakers at a meeting. If there's 4 speakers on the agenda, there's nothing to stop you silently evaluating those. And then you can compare it when the assigned evaluators give their feedback. You get some instant feedback to see how you're going. You probably have strong evaluators in your club. Same thing, you can watch and learn from them. And you could even say to them, would you mind if I share what I've done with you later. You might be able to email them your evaluation and compare notes. Don't be afraid to reach out. I can tell you, I get asked a lot, and I'm always very happy to help people grow in their skills. Have you seen this proverb before? Apparently it's an Italian one. And the idea is that if I give you a fish, you'll eat today. But if I teach you how to fish, you could feed yourself for a lifetime. I can't possibly give you 18 years of information in one session. So I'm a great believer in equipping you to go and find the best information. I want to make you hungry for that. I want to say to you, that's the trick to being a good evaluator. I like to think of having a toolbox. And just like you have tools in a toolbox, so if you have to fix a car that's broken down and you've got to undo a nut, you need the right tool. That's all it is with evaluating. It's just constantly growing and getting yourself some great tools as you go along the way. And there's some really simple places you can start. Did you know you get the Toastmasters magazine every month? There are articles in there every month that will give you tips and tools that you can start adding to your repertoire. If we look at the cover of the magazine where my mouse is going around there, the bottom right corner, you'll see public speaking in a second language. Could be some great tips there if you're working with someone or evaluating someone who's speaking in their second language. There are speech writing tips in this particular magazine. These are things that you can take down. You might want to write down a few points and you start to incorporate them in your evaluation toolkit. You can visit other clubs and watch how they evaluate, and you can watch YouTube recordings of winning district evaluators. This is Kyle Murtagh, M-U-R-T-A-G-H. I think it's District 71 in Scotland. He's one of the most energetic, brilliant evaluators that I've seen. I love watching him. I learn a lot from him. So people like Kyle here are great to watch and learn from. You might not realize that Pathways is actually a whole set of tools that you can take out and use for your toolbox. You've probably all done 1 or 2 electives at different levels, but look at this. This is level 3. You can see the ticks where I've done connect with storytelling and connect with your audience, but I can still open up the others. I can read using descriptive language, so I can learn how can I talk to someone about using stronger language? How can I recognize descriptive language? Up the top, using presentation software. So if someone is doing a speech using presentation software, this is going to give me great tips for what they can do and perhaps what they shouldn't do. You can use these electives and all your Pathways projects to pull out fantastic tools to fill your toolbox. The world champions of public speaking, such as Lance Miller on the right, will give you weekly tips in an email. They have websites. They're on Facebook. You can pick up some fantastic tips, especially if you're trying to go next level. Lance Miller in particular, you can see adding inapplicable verbiage, adding extra words you don't need to know. You can get some advanced tips as well as basic. A big thing that I learned last year, because we went on Zoom and with my advanced club, we had to be quite creative. I didn't realize that there's so many other people that use different tools that we can use as speakers. For example, opera singers teach us about deep breathing, which can really relax us. Be open to everyone, actors, writers, articles and podcasts. You might be surprised how many little tips you can take and mold for a Toastmasters evaluation. I'm just going to give you 2 examples, and you're actually going to get expanded. You're going to get lots of slides with lots of information. This is still my favorite article, and I'm going to send this out as well. Hope I get the name right. Dr. Dilip Abhayasakara, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Evaluators. I still read this after 18 years right before I can compete. It gives me 7 clear steps to remind me what my role is as an evaluator. I'll send you that so you can read more. This website isn't updated anymore, but this is one of my favorite websites for finding tips and tools. Across here, and there's a little bar across about 1/3 of the way down, There's things like speech critiques, delivery techniques. I encourage you to dive into this and read and learn. I'll give you an example what it will look like in this PowerPoint that you're going to receive. You'll see a little time for reflection slide, and I'll ask you a question, what makes the message stick? And then I'll give you a couple of bits of information. Is the message clear, 10 words or less? Did the speaker go off on tangents? So you'll get a whole lot of information like that, which I'm not going to go through now, but in your time, you should be able to go through those, even if you focus on one a week, and improve what you know about evaluating. I'll send that out to you via Patricia. I want to say as well, some people get very excited and they make up all these fancy language to describe evaluating. And sometimes it can be about looking good, and it can be trying to look a certain way. Don't fall into that trap, because I see a lot of people in competitions do this. They're trying so hard to be clever and look very smart that sometimes it actually takes away from what they're trying to say. So by all means, use the right tool at the right time. And remember Dr. Seuss, good old Dr. Seuss, the more that you read, the more things you will know. The more you learn, the more places you will go. The thing that isn't talked about a lot with evaluating is that you'll actually become a better speaker. We don't talk about this enough. If you want to become a better speaker, going to competitions is one, but I'm telling you, becoming a good evaluator and becoming really good at evaluation competitions will lift your evaluations next level. I hope you enjoyed that part of the presentation. That was just some general tips. So I'm not going to put someone on the spot. Is there anyone prepared to put in the chat? If you were feeling a bit nervous, does that help you to feel a little more confident that there is information that you can start to use? Anyone want to put a hand up for me? Did anyone understand that? Yeah, Helena, good. So I just want, the main thing that I want people to take away from that presentation is every single one of you has the ability right now to evaluate. And I really want to say to you, don't hesitate, because it's a gift that you can give to one another. I'll get you to give a little bit of a shake, just have a little bit of a shake around before we go into the next one. The next one is actually for competitors. Some of the tips will apply to all of the competitions, but some of the practice tips will also apply to you. You may not want to compete, but you will be able to practice evaluating using some of these tips. So I'll just share my screen again. Patricia, you can see that okay, I'm hoping? Fantastic. So these are some tips and tools from 18 years of competing in contests. Some will apply to Zoom, some will be face-to-face, and some will apply to both. All these slides and more content will come to you via the PDF. So my number one tip for winning evaluation contests, I'm asked this all the time. Do you want to know what it is? Don't make it about winning. And I'll tell you a story later that will 100% convince you about that. Please remember, it's not about winning. It's about 100% giving the best evaluation to the speaker that you can. You benefit the test speaker, plus you can educate the audience as well. I hear this all the time. I need suggestions that are different to the other speakers to win. No, you don't. And I'll tell you what the difference is. It's always about the feedback that helps the speaker to improve the most. It's not about scoring points, but where you will differentiate yourself in a contest, if you work hard, if you build up that toolbox, the quality and the depth of your feedback will stand out. So there might be two evaluators that talk about nerves, but the one that has really great tips and tools that the speaker can take and use will always get the edge in a competition. So work hard and make the quality and depth of your feedback the standout. And again, I've had that before. Don't fall into the trap of trying to win by being smart with your language. Just use the right tools for the right reason, not to score points. I'm just going to stop here and tell you a little story. That book you just saw is a recipe book. That was my mum's cookbook, the Common Sense Cookery Book. I had been in four or five, I think, competitions at the evaluation contest, and everybody said to me, you're going to win this year. Number one, don't listen to that. It makes your brain do funny things. I decided, I was speaker number 7, and somewhere between 5 and 6, I decided, this is bad, to theme my evaluation in a cooking theme. What was I thinking? I was making it about me and trying to win. So I said things like a handful of this, and you could have a dash of that, and this could be in good measure. And I probably did okay. But when I got to the conclusion, my summary, I could not remember what the 2 suggestions were that I gave the speaker. And I actually had to apologize. I decided to apologize to the speaker for making it about me. And I gave the evaluation then that I should have given. And of course, I went way over time and I was disqualified. Let me tell you, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, and it would form my future wins in contests. Instead of trying to win, I remembered to try and just focus on my audience. That year, we were very lucky. Oh, what's happened here? You can see that now. Patricia, you can see the slides again. That year, it was Mark Hunter, one of the world champions. I looked great there, don't I? So I was about to go in the bathroom and cry. I was so humiliated. It was one of the worst moments I've ever had. But sometimes your worst moments in Toastmasters turn out to have the greatest learning. That day I learned my lesson. Never try and make it about winning. Keep your eyes off the prize and keep your eyes on the speaker and the audience. This is a collection of tips for practicing. Some of these will apply to your general learning to be a better evaluator. Some are specific for competition. There are definitely more in the handout as well. But I hope if you're competing this year, they might motivate you to try and lift yourself to the next level. You have to, we talk about practicing evaluation. Don't forget to practice how you take your notes. You need to get your way of collecting those notes when you're watching the speaker. It's a pressure cooker. It's such a hard contest. We don't talk about this enough. It is one of the hardest contests. You have to get your notes organized in 5 minutes. A little tip for you, I use colored markers. It's amazing how you can separate your information and see at a glance what you want to talk about. You do have to use an official form these days, and you can't take in a ruled up pre-organized form. So keep it simple, because the chances are you'll be doing that before the contest. And the less, if you arrive late or something, you can end up getting very hassled as you try to rule up your form. So my tip, if you have a pre-form that you do, try and keep it simple so you can do that nice and simply and quickly. Sorry, I'm just going to hide my panel here because I think that's in your way. Is that better now? Now, using notes to give your evaluation, I can't tell you how many times I was told winning district evaluators don't use notes. Yes, they do. I've done it twice, once on Zoom and once face-to-face. But here's the trick. You have to practice using them and not losing your connection. You can't be looking down. You can't be jerky. You have to be fluid and keeping the connection with your audience. If you're on Zoom, something that a lot of people don't realize is you can have a music stand just under the bottom of the Zoom screen. So your notes can be, I have my camera up a little bit, so my notes are often at elbow level. You can't see them at home, but they're just there and I can just glance at my notes. It's a wonderful tip on Zoom if you're using notes for a speech. A lot of people look up at another screen, but you lose eye contact. So try using a music stand. It's such a fantastic tool on Zoom. Use your club meetings to practice, but here's the thing. Evaluate all the speakers, as I mentioned before. Then when you're home, use that content to practice and deliver those evaluations like a contest. You have some real life examples that you can use, and you can keep honing that and practicing that and getting better and better at knowing the timing and things like that. If you reach, I would suggest a division or district final, ask other clubs if they'll let you practice like a contest. So I had many clubs would let me come in, listen to a speaker, I'd go off for 5 minutes, then I would come back and they would call me up like a contest. Real time, real life practice. These days, it's never been easier to attend or watch evaluation contests. Why not watch contests? You can even go onto YouTube and do this. Evaluate the test speaker. And then you sit and simply compare what you've done to the contestants, particularly the top 3. I evaluate a lot of YouTube speakers when I'm practicing for contests, and I just take whatever comes up. I just throw lots of speeches out and make myself evaluate them. If you really wanted to go next level, if you're someone looking to get the edge and really improve yourself, if you look at the second one there in red, do your evaluation on the spot. Don't use the 5 minutes. Watch, stand up with your notes, and make yourself do it as if it's competition day. I even evaluate the world champions. And if you do those 2 things, I can promise you, when you get to real competition, it will seem much easier. You'll feel like you've got so much time when you're given that 5 minutes to prepare. That's definitely one of the best tips that I've really come up with to make myself really, you've got to be sharp in the evaluation contest. Do every practice like a real comp. You can't stop and start. And what people don't realize is when they stop and start, they're missing the chance to build the confidence and the skills to cover up a mistake and keep going. If you happen to muck something up in a contest and you've been doing this, you will just naturally cover it up and keep going. You won't panic. One of the things I think that has made me have a lot of success in the evaluation contest is I really can put a lot in my time. I don't waste words. I'm very succinct. I don't repeat things. I say it once and say it well. And I know my time. I know exactly where I'm going to be when I'm giving my suggestions, when I'm wrapping up. Please work on this. You'll see a lot of speakers spend so much time getting to the heart of what they want to say. Watch the good evaluators. They have a lot more in their evaluations because they're very succinct. This is probably the #1 area where I see people perhaps not do as well as they could. And use the time for the speaker. Gosh, don't sit there going, oh, Mary, I went there for Christmas 3 years ago with my mother and my auntie and my brother. People often waste time in the evaluation. You can do that later with the speaker. You can briefly mention a personal connection, but don't retell and don't spend too long on your thoughts. All your time should be to give the evaluator, the speaker, feedback. I promise you, 3.5 minutes is a lot longer than you think, and you become succinct and focused, you'll be amazed how much more you fit in. I'm not sure about your district. In District 70, we speak in the 3rd person. Patricia did this. I saw Patricia do that. I never say you, because I'm looking down on Zoom, particularly to a whole lot of people. You may have a different belief in your district, but the reason I do it that way is not only am I encouraging the speaker, but I'm educating the audience. And a little trick with that, if you want to engage your audience, especially on Zoom, you can have rhetorical questions. Could you feel the energy in Patricia's evaluation? Did you see the way she used her hand gestures to highlight her key points? There you go. She's giving me two hands up there. This is a great tip because especially on Zoom, you want to really engage your audience and it makes it a teaching opportunity. Please don't forget the summary. It's 15 points. If you don't do the summary, you probably will never place or probably do well because it's 15 points. The summary, what does summary mean? Summary means a brief explanation again of what's already happened. Again, be succinct, be on point. It's a brief recap with the points for improvement in the middle. I see so many evaluators give all the things, the summary of the good things, then they give the points for improvement and they say, thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. They finished on a negative. Always finish on a praise point. In my case, it's a personal comment. This is the one time I do say you. I would say Patricia, etc., etc. A nice rounding off comment about the speech. If you have unreliable internet and you're competing on Zoom, I'm telling you, it will be on your mind. I had to compete from a hotel this year in the international speech contest, and it started to get that message, unstable. If you can, work as a club, support one another. If someone has great internet, offer to host that person that night if they're competing. And here's the big thing. If your Zoom drops out, you've got an extra 30 seconds now on your competition speech or evaluation. Don't start until you're settled. Just like you wouldn't start a speech straight away, it's okay to take a few seconds to breathe and calm down because you could be very rattled. Take your time. Always settle before restarting. If you get nervous, this is a tip that I came up with 2 years ago, and I think you'll find it's deceptively easy, all right? If you do all this hard work, if you do all these practices, if you keep a record of the time that you spend practicing, I just use a simple page, and every day I put down how many practices I've done. When you are nervous in a competition and you pull this out of your pocket, you can say to yourself, I've done the work, breathe, I can do this. I've done this before and I'm going to do it now. I know it sounds simplistic, but it works and it's a wonderful encourager for you. Most of all, listen to all feedback and don't dismiss it until you've looked for any seed of truth. Maybe you've dismissed feedback with these things here. Oh, I hear what you're saying, but no, I need to, I prefer to, I tried it, but I do it better this way. We've all done it, but I want to encourage you today to be open and try suggestions. And this is why. If you can see, this is Concord West Toastmasters. Gosh, they gave me some hard feedback in 2018. I'd given it everything to try. This was my last attempt going in the contest. It's my 5th final. 9 clubs let me practice, and they said things to me like, we don't like your glasses. Oh, this is your 5th final. Why aren't the judges going to think same old, same old? Did I find the seed of truth? No, this was me basically in the car park. I was so angry at them. I felt they'd taken all my confidence, but I sat and I listened and I thought about it. And I realized that my glasses were falling down on my nose sometimes and I was looking over them. So I thought, okay, there's a point. I also changed the way I looked. I'd looked the same way competing all these years and business suits had changed. They now had the straighter legs. I wore high heels. I looked a little bit different and I felt more confident for doing that. And the result of that was that it had taken me 12 years, but I finally won my first district evaluation contest. And I'm absolutely convinced it came from being open to feedback. I share these tips with you because every one of you can be a fantastic evaluator. There are some more tips for you about competing, which are they are definitely in the handout. But can I just say to you, be humble, be open to feedback and work hard. It's that simple and that hard, I guess. There's no shortcut to being a strong evaluator. Some of us probably find it easier than others, but if you work hard, if you practice hard, it's like everything in life. The more you put in, the more you get out, but more importantly, the more your speaker will take from you. It's a gift that's yours to give if you just choose to fill up your toolbox. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Lou Beaton, for the amazing tips. Evaluation contest is one of my passion, and I really like some of the points that you mentioned, but I don't want to steal the thunder from the next role player. So I would like to now hand over the session very quickly to our FAQ master, Wendy Ong. So Wendy, over to you for your FAQ session.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the Day, Albert. Lou, you have given us so generously in your presentation on the evaluation extravaganza. I'm sure you have set our mindset very clearly at the very beginning, and you have given us tool sets. Now, perhaps we would like to hear about the skill sets that you can impart to us for us to actually better ourselves in our evaluation process. I have a few questions I would like to I would like you to give us an answer. The first question is on, when evaluating, what specific area would you look at or look in terms of the speech structure as well as the message of the speech?
Thank you. So I guess when it comes to structure, I find the structure will support the message. So I like to make sure that there's a distinct opening, that all the stories in the body of the speech tie in to the message. So for example, if you're telling me about school days and you give me 3 stories in the body and 2 are about school and one suddenly talks about work, I'm going to be confused. So I look for consistency. I look for the same message shaping the beginning, the body, the stories, and of course the conclusion. I think a good message, a lot of the world champions will say to you that your message should be in 10 words or less. And the reason they tell you that, they're going to tell you that if you're not that clear, if you can't get your message in your brain clear enough in 10 words, how can the audience? And what you can do when you have your message in 10 words or less, then you can use that like a measuring stick. So when all these other stories, when all the anecdotes, when all the quotes are there, you measure them up again. So when I'm evaluating, I pick out what I think is the core message, and I'm asking myself, are all these other components building on that message, reinforcing it? In the structure, in the stories and anecdotes, if anything is taking me away from a core message or I'm getting more than one message, I'm probably going to be confused. So my feedback to the speaker is normally if I can see a clear message, or perhaps I'm not clear on the message, I would perhaps point out to them the 2 areas where I wasn't quite sure what the exact message was because I got this message here and it seemed like there was another message there. I hope that's helpful, but there is more about this in the handout you'll get as well. You'll get some specific questions that you could be looking for when you're evaluating.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Lou. So what you have mentioned, what if it is a speech project? Do we actually look at whether the speech actually fits into the objective of the speech project? Do you evaluate it based on that, or it is more of a general evaluation?
I definitely do look at that because each project in Pathways is to teach us a certain skill. So if the speaker it doesn't matter what topic, so long as they meet the objectives. I have done it only a couple of times in my 18 years, but there have been times where I've given someone a general evaluation and I've said, I didn't really feel, and how I would word it is, I'm not sure you got the most out of this project. It wanted you perhaps to do a certain thing, and I'm not sure that you got the benefit of that. So I wouldn't point my finger and say you didn't do it, but I'd word it in that kind of context that I'm not sure you got the full benefit from the project, and I'd love to see you do it again in perhaps this way. The reason for that is that if we just give a general evaluation, that's very helpful, but I think these projects are asking our feedback on a specific thing. So some of you may have done this already. There's a Q&A project where you speak for 15 minutes and then you have the Q&A component. If I simply talk about the 15 minutes, I've missed the main objective. It's how did the person handle the Q&A? Because that's a skill that they might need at work or in a Toastmasters meeting. So yeah, very, very much. I'd encourage everyone to familiarize themselves. If you don't get it from the evaluator, you just go into Pathways. All the evaluation forms are there. So familiarize yourself before the meeting. So you're looking for those things. You have that radar that you're looking for those particular things the project is asking for.
All right. Thank you so much, Lou. There is a question here from E.T. Do we ask the speaker first in advance what aspects to be evaluated on before the speaker actually speaks? Or do we basically evaluate them based on the speech project and purpose?
I think it's nice to do both if you can. It personalizes the evaluation. They may be really struggling with something, and I think being aware that you might have a suggestion in your toolbox that can help them. So I'd probably be doing both. I'd definitely be evaluating on the Pathways objectives, but I'd be seeing how that ties in. So for example, if they've had feedback that they speak too quickly, I would tie it into the project. So when you were trying to persuade me, I didn't see pauses. I would try and marry the 2 together if I could. It may not be possible, but generally you'll find if it's something they've been asked to look at over and over again, it's probably going to be evident in the delivery again or in the structure. So yeah, I would encourage you to do both. It just makes it more personal and more value for the speaker. Don't forget, you've only got 3.5 minutes, but there's nothing to stop you emailing a bit more feedback for a speaker.
All right. Thank you so much, Lou. One other area for evaluation is on the table topic speakers that most people are always kind of like really scared of, because there are probably 5 to 6 speakers that they need to evaluate within 5 minutes. How would you suggest that we evaluate on table topic speakers?
It can be really hard. It's very quick. I like the clubs that one of my clubs introduced too. So we have the odds and the evens, so that one person isn't just constantly trying to keep up. That's one thing I see that works very well. You don't have long. You've got to remember, we're not evaluating a 5 to 7 minute speech. It's just a 1 or 2 minute response. I find one thing I like and one suggestion, and then I just finish with a very short, encouraging comment. One of the things I look for in table topics is how confident they are. Do they start straight away? Do they keep their energy level the same? Was it interesting? Was there a callback to something else in the meeting? Just like your general evaluating, curiosity. Why am I enjoying this? Oh, hang on, they've lost me. Why? Just be curious. Why am I enjoying this? And 9 times out of 10, you'll come up with a pretty quick response. You probably only need one suggestion, one praise point, one suggestion, and a brief comment just to say they've done a good job.
All right, that's a very great tip. So one question from the audience, Louisa asks, have you ever encouraged a speaker to repeat a project if it's totally not aligned to the objectives?
Yes, yeah, that's what I was just saying. If as a VPE, I'll tell you now, as a VPE, I wouldn't approve it if it was, you know, do a Q&A and they hop up and they do a humorous speech with no Q&A. As a VPE, I would work with them and say, let's put that speech into another place in Pathways. Let's see where that really fits. But this one here, I'd like to encourage you to really do this. And again, I would just take the approach. I wouldn't use the heavy stick, you've done a bad job, especially in front of the club. We don't want to humiliate people. So I would still praise what they've done well. But in my suggestion, I would say something like, I'm wondering if you really got the full benefit of this project, because I've read it. I'd actually have the project with me and I'd say, I'm not sure that you've met this objective, and I would read it and I would try maybe to give them a suggestion. Maybe you'd like to take this speech and talk about what you know and then add on a Q&A, for example. I would try and give them some step to encourage them to do it again, and maybe a suggestion about a topic or how you've seen it done by someone else. Don't forget, that's another evaluation tool in Pathways. You've seen people do these new projects. So if you see something you like, tuck it in your pocket, tuck it in your toolbox, because you might be able to say to the speaker, I saw someone do it this way. Sometimes they just don't know how to do the project. It might be a bit hard. So there's nothing to stop you saying to the person, look, I'm sure there'd be people here who'd love to give you some ideas if you're a bit stuck. You can just do it in a nice way. I don't ever want to humiliate a speaker. I think be very careful that we don't make them look like they've failed. Still give them lots of praise, but in that suggestion, I think you have every right to say, oh, I'm not sure you met this objective, and I really would like to see you do it because it would benefit you.
Yes, thank you so much. Evaluate to motivate and evaluate to elevate. That's the key message. One last question. In terms of when evaluation, what other specific areas do you look for in vocal variety as well as in body gestures?
I actually find the two go together. I think you'll generally find that when someone is really, sorry, that's my husband maybe. I think you'll find when someone is really feeling the words of their speech, their body language and their face and their vocal variety tend to match. So sometimes we'll see people be very choreographed. You know, I said this and I did that. I would probably encourage them to really feel the words. That's what I'd be looking for as an evaluator. Are they really living out the speech? Are they reliving the moments? Are they using dialogue is a big one to get vocal variety rather than just speaking? Are they using dialogue is a big one to bring out that body language and gestures. I'd be looking for pace. After big questions, did they give me time to answer it? So if I say, have you ever had that experience? I would expect there to be a pause for me to go back through my memory bank. They're the main ones. In the handout again that I'm going to give you, you'll find some specific questions that will help you as an evaluator to be looking for certain things on body language and gestures and also vocal variety.
Thank you so much for your time. I believe each and every one of us has benefited. I shall hand over the session to Albert, the Toastmaster of the day. Thank you.
Thank you, Wendy, and thank you to our speaker, distinguished Toastmaster Lou Beaton. I would like to recall the 3 points that I really caught from her sharing just now. I really like how she mentioned focus on the speaker. And I think that is something that is mind-blowing. It's something that many of us have probably practiced, but it's really a good reminder that the evaluation is about the speaker, and also to be open to feedback ourselves as an evaluator. I think that is a very important lesson to me. And certainly I will try to look for different evaluation opportunities around the world, because you learn something from everybody wherever you go. And lastly, to read the magazine for speaking tips. I think this is a really interesting point, because I haven't been reading the magazine that much ever since they stopped printing the magazine. So I no longer have it on my hand, and therefore I don't make time to go to the website and read them. But I think there are a lot of very interesting tips in the magazine, and I would like to encourage everyone to also join me in reading the magazine and getting some really good speaking tips from those magazines. Thank you, distinguished Toastmaster Lou, for your time and also for your interesting sharing, very generous and very uplifting. So right now, I would like to ask everybody to unmute yourself and say thank you in your native language. If you have more than one native language, then go ahead and say thank you to our speaker today, to our distinguished Toastmaster Lou Beaton. Terima kasih. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Say thank you.
Thank you.